Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to review Mom and Dad Save the World. So, this is kind of one of those just bizarrish movies that, have this just a bizarrish approach to it. I would just say overall, the theme of this movie is just, kitchen sink of whatever the heck. And, it is kind of a goofy movie, I guess. A lot of people could say at least this might just be a one-off look at, and then they might just be like, oh, okay, that was the one-off thing that I got. And to me, coincidentally, this movie does kind of remind me, it kind of has an approach of the movie Stay Tuned with John Ritter, where you have this couple that is to go into another world, let's just say, and now have to survive and thrive within this one place. That's why that's kind of attached to a movie like Stay Tuned. Whereas in that movie, the couple is to be sucked into a TV. In this movie, a couple is to go on a road trip and get sucked into another planet, which of course is called Splengo. Because I'm sure somebody took 12 hours of their day to probably think of that planet. I'm sure it took them numerous weeks to come up with Splengo. I'm sure they're just I'm playing with a yo-yo. What should we call this planet name? Yo-yo? Should we call it Splendor? Should we call it Splengo? Oh, wow. I think we got something there. What was the amalgamation, or what was the smashing of two words to just say Splengo? I'm just kind of curious. But anyways, we also have some very goofy looking names for a lot of characters. We just have this little mushroom character that is at the end here that is called Ludlud or Lublub. Lublub or Ludlud. Reasons I don't understand why. We have a bulldog guard. That's what and one of these characters are to actually have a name called Blatt. This character? What a unique name that this character has. Fish Girl. Alright, Fish Girl. I don't know what the rat's name is. Probably Ratatouille or Rat something. I'm sure it's just Rat Man or something. It's some goofy, bizarre name. I'm not going to go into heavily detail about any of the items. I might just say a four-door sedan. But I don't think I'm going to have a specific certain names of certain items or whatever. But anyways, it feels like this movie is kind of stealing and copying from a lot of things. Of course, there is the classic death ray approach that we go into having a guy named Emperor Todd Splengo, who is to decide to want to just start destroying planets, and guess which one is to be next. All of a sudden, while Todd is to start lurking into being a peeping Tom of planet Earth, or peeping Todd in this sense, because his name is Todd, Todd is to go in and eventually find a woman that he's to I want me a piece of that Earth. So, Todd wants to do anything humanly possible to get a woman named Marge onto his planet and then just annihilate planet Earth. Just rip it out of the sky because it just shouldn't exist for some reason or another. And so that eventually leads this couple to eventually be torn apart, and eventually Dick needs to go out of his way to try and rescue the damsel in distress. It's there's a whole lot of this that feels like the oldest story in the book. It gives us, it goes back to Robin Hood days with this movie, but there's parts and bits of this that I thought were goofy, but like there was at points where like I guess you can just enjoy a smart person around a bunch of dumb people. Like I guess that's an enjoyable factor of this film. And some people might think that this might be their favorite movie of all time, which like I can't quite figure that out, but like you know what, like if somebody has like a favorite of anything, like some people might think that my favorite movies are god awful, and so really like there's room for like just justifying that anybody could have a taste of bizarre, and really that's what this movie delivers. Like it kind of goes out of its way to be something that no one has ever seen before besides maybe Spaceballs. Like this does have that kind of like Spaceball kind of feel, like kind of look to it, especially when you like go into a movie like Spaceballs where you have instead of Yoda it's like yogurt or something, and you have like John Candy who's like half dog. But anyways, so like I'm just kind of going by like, hey, what does this movie feel like to me, bizarrely? Because I like, if anything, if I go further into this movie, I feel like I'll be spoiling the whole thing. So, with that said, I think it's time to get into that territory. And plus, also, I don't think I'll have much of any other like actual legitimate. Let me Lub Lub. Lub Lub. I needed to desperately figure that out. Lub Lubs. It's not D, it's B. There we go. But anyway, so yeah, that was a crucial thing I needed to find out. So, anyways, let's get into that double five time territory. It's basically just another road trip that lands us into another solar system of planets. And we have, of course, John Lovitz, who's in this movie, who is to be a goofy cat that is to consistently change his facial hair, his hair everywhere, and like it seems like this planet has just kind of eventually lost its previous emperor or previous king, and so like this planet has like just become mostly just a wasteland just because of one king like kind of stepping out. And so that's to just leave to anything running amok within this place. And so that also is to have Dick going and running amok through this castle-esh like place. And because basically this is to be like a very old fashioned like Robin Hood like tale, where really instead of like us, like, because they use terms like throne rooms to describe certain things, so I'm immediately just like, okay, like a this is just basically a science fiction approach of Robin Hood, pretty much. And like because we also have like Emperor Todd, who basically is a Napoleon-esque like character. There's at points in time where they are to mention like something that is small, and like mentioning that Todd's planet is small, and Todd is like, my planet is not small. Like if anything, it's not the size of the planet, but like how you use it kind of thing. And so like there's that kind of like they really have to kind of push this guy does have like this almost Napoleon-esque like complex, but it's just for laughs. So with that said, let's get into spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about that time I'm going to spoil this movie. I don't know why I spent 10 minutes talking about this in a very cryptic like sense, but I just found it to just be fun, just to kind of compare or kind of like tell you how I felt about this movie in a very interesting way. But go out of your way to watch this movie on HBO Max. But if you dare in fact can't because money is tight, I will make it right by saying going into the number of usual apps, that I've mentioned. So let's go into this. So the very beginning of this, we are to have reasonably like Marge and Dick going and like doing this slideshow of photos that they've been on vacations and previous, I guess, to set up for them going on another vacation. We consistently see like Dick, who is just kind of going through this whole vacation with just kind of this face, like throughout the whole entire thing. There's never a smile, there's never whatever, because normally Dick is to have a problem here and there about like some kind of food or just like some kind of like horseback ride thing that like hurt his back or hurt his stomach or hurt his huevos or something else. And so really just like the entire time Marge has not, I guess, has never like catered any of these vacations to like to Dick. Like Marge has just catered her vacations to Marge. And I think that's always the problem when Marge is to go with Dick, knowing full well that he's probably going to have problems with any number of things and number of situations. Like how she could not have eventually like realized, well, maybe I'll just kind of like we'll do this instead or we'll do that instead. Because eventually, when both Marge and Dick are to go on to this other like vacation, like Dick is to consistently go on about, oh, my back, I can't put this thing of luggage into this car. Oh, help me, son. And so we eventually have characters like Carl, who is Stephanie's boyfriend, that is to consistently be in the scenes where, of course, they're on Earth. And I'm like, why not just make Carl like the oldest son? Like, why does he have to be like Stephanie's boyfriend? Like, I just think that that's just the goofiest thing ever. Plus, you have Alan, the kid from like Terminator 2, who plays the kid who helps out like John Connor, like try to like escape from the T-1000 or whatever, the liquid metal Terminator. And so like he's like barely in this movie. You have this kid who just is to be there to have Dick mention to him like, "Hey Alan, could you help me put this thing of luggage in this car?" And Alan is to just skate away. He's just to go onto his skateboard and just like go off. And what was the point of that? Like, you could have just had Carl and Stephanie and you would have been fine. And plus also, I would have much rather have like had, I get that it's like mom and dad save the world, but like I guess these parents are really trusting that their kids are just gonna like not basically burn down this house while like they're off adventuring, because I guess they've done it numerous times before. But I guess I guess this is not gonna be like a family vacation, and plus also like it's yet another one of those where it's just like, well, hey, like we want to have like a movie for like the older adults that are like, hey, like I want to see what this is, kind of thing. I guess because a lot of times, like maybe they're kind of catering this to be family. Anyways, moving on. So, so both Dick and Marge are to eventually go on their way to go on their vacation, and so here's to set this up. So Emperor Todd Spango is to go and look at the planet Earth and just be like, you know what? This would be a pretty cool planet to just destroy. It just kind of feels like a severely random thought. Like it never feels like all of a sudden like Earth is going to be close to getting to planet Spango in any way. There's not going to be any real true threat there. It's just Emperor Todd is just like, you know what? Like, I'm a moron, and I just want to go and blow up this planet for no real true reason. Like, it's not like Darth Vader, when uh when it was like Princess Leia, and it was like, hey, Princess Leia, I'm just gonna blow up your planet because I know there's a bunch of people that are gonna like hate and fear me on that planet, so I'm just gonna blow it up. And plus, also, we have like a death ray in this movie, anyways, that is to blow up every single planet, just like Star Wars, basically. But also, like a death ray to blow up a planet, like that's been done a million times over via, like, that's like the oldest concept in the book. But there's something just goofy about these characters. Like, there's some interesting visuals in this movie, and I'll give them that. Like, I'll give them that I do like the visuals of this film just because, like, it tries to do something different. It tries to give you something different, and I think that's what could win a lot of people over. There's parts of this movie that I think could win me over, because I like some certain goofiness of this movie, or it kind of breaks down like, oh, like, hey, let's just hit the one uh, button that is to tell us that we can easily eject out of this thing by hitting this one silly button that is to be blatantly obvious that you hit this thing and you go out. Or there's kind of like blatantly obvious things that just seem so goofy, but then other stupid people fall for it. And it'd be like, well, I guess they just fell for it. So, uh, so Todd is to eventually go before both Marge and Dick are going on the road trip to spy on Earth, and he is to see Marge doing some like aerobics like activity outside, and so Todd is just like, oh my god, like this woman is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And so now I have to have her be tractor beamed or whichever with her car from off of Earth to come to my planet so I can marry her. Even though technically Marge already is to be already attached to a man, like I guess Todd could just be like, dude, I can just kill this guy off. Like no easy peasy lemon squeezy kind of thing going on here. So both Marge and Dick are to make their way through the solar system to make it to Spango, the planet Spango. And so Marge and Dick, like, Marge is taking a shot of both Dick, like next to Saturn. It's like, hey, Saturn, look at this. And so Marge is putting on the flash, and Dick is like, why are you putting on the flash? And Marge is like, well, we're in space. Like, what light can we really have? And he's like, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like, if anything, yeah, like, we're probably not going to be able to, like, get a really good shot of us being next to Saturn. So, but, like, all of a sudden, Marge is to continue taking shots. And, of course, it's not like they can open their door, because maybe when they open their door, the oxygen is going to come right out of this car. Plus, also, is there going like oxygen? How does that happen? Like, do they just have a good enough supply within the car to be able to continue breathing? Is there a big enough space to like have them easily just continue to breathe in and out to where they don't need to actually like, well, I guess like when also looking at it, there are cars that go underwater, so I guess it's the same principle as that. Like I guess like all of the air is just wafting within that place, so it's going to like give them numerous amount of XYZ time for them to breathe. Like it's basically like putting a bag over your head when you are to have been buried alive, and you're gonna put a bag over your head and then like try to like get yourself unburied and make your way out from your coffin after you tear through your coffin to make your way up to the surface. Like it's the same kind of principle. It's like this car is basically like a bag over your head. So to continue to give you air while you're going and digging to the surface. It's a weird analogy, but or weird comparison, but anyways, moving on. So Marge and Dick are to make it to the surface, of course, and so we have both Marge and Dick who are to immediately go into a spot of a hallway to just kind of see all these alien-esque like creatures, and I wonder how much Marge has for film roll because she has been taking like a bajillion pictures during this whole journey. And I think when eventually they get done with this whole journey, I don't think like they even like showcased half of the photos that they probably took. So both Dick and Marge are to go and like stop at certain points of this hallway to just take photos with like the bulldog guard and like fish girls and so on and so forth. So eventually what ends up actually happening is that Marge and Dick end up being separated because what ends up actually happening is that Marge is to go to her spot to go and get dressed, and Dick is to go into the dungeon to be not getting dressed for anything. He's just going to be sent to the dungeon to probably eventually get his mind milked at some point. So, Dick is to eventually go and be one, seeing a rat that Dick is going to have to scare away, like an alien looking rat. And then after that, we have Dick who is to meet a former king called King Raff, who evidently has a son called Surf or Cirque. Raff's son. So King Raff is to evidently have some plan to get back his throne, bizarrely in his pants, and so Dick is like, wait a minute, I haven't been in prison that long. Like, I'm not going to be, like, going into anyone's pants. Because, hilariously enough, like, King Raff sets this up to just be like, hey, like, the way to our release is through my pants. And then he does this, like, position to where it just looks weird. And so, like, Dick is like, you know what, I'm not, like, I haven't been, no. But then eventually Dick goes and takes from what is out of this guy's pants is like, oh, it is like some bizarrish, like, scheme or something. And so the king is to tell Dick to take this plan and take it to his son, who is to dress as an eagle. And he's like, say what? Like, so your son and all the people that is with them, like, dress as bizarrish eagles? Yeah, this guy is not going to be hard to find. Whatever. So, push on. So, Marge is to go on and talk with these fish girls, and all of a sudden it seems that one of the fish girls is having a problem with her bulldog husband's relationship. And so Marge is like, you know what, maybe I should go and talk to your husband. Like, maybe, like, you guys just don't have the spice in your relationship. Like, kind of like the spice in Marge and Dick's relationship, where reasonably Marge is wanting a little bit of a bedroom business, and Dick is just like, yeah, not tonight. Like, I just want to go and sleep. And so Marge is to eventually go and get a nice looking dress to eventually go to this throne room to get married to Emperor Todd. Marge doesn't know this, but eventually she will. And so while that's going on, we have Dick who is to. Oh no, wait. There's a whole lot of thinking going on here before that happens. So let's a little bit. So Marge is to eventually go to the throne room to find out that she's married. And so Emperor Todd is like, yeah, Marge, like I'm sure you'll like be more than happy to marry me. And Marge is like, no, like if anything, like I love being with Dick. And like there's a whole lot of jokes and innuendos here, like when I'm saying stuff like this, because numerous times I've said the word dick, and more likely, hopefully, I don't get this just like, oh, he said a cuss word technically. So I'm just gonna have to just like not say this guy's name consistently because there might just be some like, oh, this is gonna be like a way too much cussing video and you can't say those words. What are the like? There should be some kind of names that of course should not be on the stupid thing. That's why I tend to almost like avoid saying everything because some community guidelines thing could happen. Some like bizarrish parental control thing could all of a sudden happen on one freaking video I do just because I consistently say one name that is a name of a person in a movie. So, since Marge is not wanting to easily just marry Todd, Todd is to want to take Dick to milk his brain to try to understand why Marge would see this man as such an enticing person that she would much rather marry or be with Dick than Todd. So here is where. So while Dick is to get milked for information, all of a sudden we are to have a guy who is to start reading every bit uh, of information coming from this guy, and Sibor, I think his name is. Sir Mage's Bue, whatever. So Sabor is to all of a sudden just start like reading like all of this like reading this guy's thoughts basically. Dick is to have these dreams about quite possibly punching Todd, or that maybe he left the stove on and all of a sudden his entire home is going to burn, or that Marge is in trouble, or any number of things in like popping into this guy's brain. And so this leads to have Sabor read every single bit of like thought bubble that this guy is going to have. And so eventually that leads Todd to just be like, why does Marge like this person? Like, it doesn't seem like there's anything justifying me here of why this guy would like be such a catch to have Marge go after him. And so Todd is just like, dude, I cannot like figure this out. And so Todd just leaves. So Sabor is to realize that Dick should be like released, should be rescued. Basically to be like, hey man, your love between you and Marge is so like strong. Like I think you should go and you should try to save her. Cause Sabor is to remember a love that he had lost at some point. Samaj, bizarrely, one of the Eagle women, a girl that I remember from the movie Loaded Weapon, the Emilio Estevez, Samuel L. Jackson kind of rip off of Lethal Weapon, but like it was also kind of funny. It had Whoopi Goldberg in it. It was kind of goofy. It had like Tim Curry. It had a number of other people that probably made you laugh at some point. So moving on. So Dick is to get released, and so he ends up switching clothes with Sabor and start going around the castle. And all of a sudden, there's one person to ask this guy, like, "Hey, where are you going?" And so Dick is to just be like, "Well, like, I'm just gonna go up to this location and go up north." And they're just like, "Well, okay, all right, that sounds like a place for someone to go." And Dick is like, "God, these people are morons." So Dick is to eventually go and continue on to bump into General Afer, who is to be General or Emperor Todd's like second in command, where like General Afer is just kind of like going and just doing whatever the heck Todd is to say. But eventually the general is just be like, "Man, Todd, like you are really and truly just a moron. Like the what things you ask for just do not make sense." So, but if anything, he comes to that realization later on in the movie. But anyways, so Dick is to all of a sudden get shot up by a number of the general's men, and so that leads to eventually Dick getting pushed down this like garbage chute, which leads him to go into this sewer that is to have a bunch of lub-lubs or ludluds, whichever. So all of a sudden, Dick is to like touch one of these things and just like, "Oh wow, you look so cute," and like I'm sure you're not gonna go and like scare the bejesus out of me or just kill me, because it's always like that evolution. Like if you guys remember the David Duchovny or whatever the heck movie with the guy from American Pie and the guy who was in Double Take, Orlando Jones, where like all of a sudden the one little alien looks all cute, and the women are just like, "Oh yeah, this little bulldog looking alien thing looks so cute. You know what? Like I want to take this home with me." And then all of a sudden, a woman is going to be taking a little bit less home because this alien was to bite into her and nibble her to death, kill her to death by eating. And so that just led everybody else to just like, "Dude, I'm getting the heck out of here." Same situation with this mushroom-looking thing, this Ludlud or Lublub. Doesn't matter. Like, we're gonna probably just, after this whole scene is to be over, we're never gonna see this thing again, because good God, does this thing just like... Bizarrely, you would think this thing all looks all innocent, but then all of a sudden, like, you just see this, like, mouth opening, and it has, like, multiple, like, bizarrish, like, levels of teeth? Bizarrely? Like, it's kind of like the Coneheads thing, where Dan Aykroyd's character is to go to the dentist, and all of a sudden you just see multiple levels of teeth, where the dentist is just like, "Good God, like I guess I'm just gonna like just clean all these guys' multiple teeth." Man, was that probably dentist appointment extremely expensive, but anyways, so Dick is being chased by these Ludluds and Lublubs. Let's go with that, because it does matter after. And so Dick is to immediately go and grab this ladder, and now he needs to do like one solid chin up. And he's like, "I cannot do this." And plus, like, so Dick just kind of mentions how he used to be like a football star, and he used to be somebody, and like all this kind of stuff. And like, I guess when it does come down to it, when like Dick is to have a real true incentive, aka his wife, then Dick just eventually just finds a way. like us finding a way to figure out how to review this movie. So Dick is to just try to like grab this ladder with his legs, and so since Dick just can't do a chin up, he might as well just do a leg up, and so that gets him to figure out how to be able to get up this ladder to eventually make it to Marge in one way or another. So what ends up having to forcibly happen is Dick is to eventually go on to find one of these ships. And eventually Dick is to accidentally repetitiously go backwards into this ship. And so Emperor Todd's men are to eventually like shoot out these like weird torpedoes to eventually go and take out this ship. Coincidentally, Dick has the ability to like not figure out how to do this ship at all. Like every single button he's pushing is just like, oh well, like that's great to learn like 5 minutes ago. Like this is going backwards. Okay, great. Like that's great that I figured that out. But consistently, this guy has no clue what to do. And eventually, these rockets are coming at him, and so now he has to figure out either how to land the ship or how to eject out of it. And so, of course, there's one button that says like, "Hey, get out of here quickly." And so he hits that, and then he quickly ejects out of the ship. So that's to lead Dick to eventually go finding the Eagle people, which when Dick is to find these Eagle people, he's like, why are you guys all dressed as eagles? Because they're not fully dressed as eagles. Like, they're just dressed as eagles with their heads, but, like, you can kind of tell they're all human, like, afterwards. And they're like, oh, I guess we never thought of that. And, like, Dick is like, yeah, I don't think you'd think of anything. So Dick is to try to ask all these people, it's like, well, hey, like, Emperor Todd has, like, laser guns. Like, what do you guys have? And they're like, nothing. Like, our intelligence is our weapon. And Dick is like, yeah, so you got jack crap nothing. So, but Dick is like, well, hey, man, like, I need to go and get my wife. So, like, we're gonna go and we're gonna come back into, and storm the castle, basically. And so what's gonna happen is the guys are going to hide into a Trojan horse-like thing. They're going to come into this castle as a statue of Emperor Todd, which, when he gets this statue, Todd is to mention how seemingly inaccurate it looks, and it looks nothing like him. It looks like if he was to go and, like, look like this, then it actually looks like him. And so he complains about it, and he's like, yeah, I definitely want to bring this statue in to everyone to see how inaccurate it is. So, but, so they're prepping Marge to eventually go and be wedded anyways. Emperor Todd is to eventually come up with some love potion concoction that he is to forcibly give to Marge to have him, like, forcibly have Marge fall in love with Emperor Todd. So the general is to go and give Marge this love potion. And so the general goes in, he's like, you know what, I'm just going to just give you water in this thing. And then you are, like, eventually just going to pretend that you're in love with Emperor Todd. But eventually we're going to find a way to get your husband back here, and we're going to stop Todd from doing all this, because I guess for the general, enough is enough. And so, like, the Emperor Todd is like, oh, really, General? Well, then I'm just going to give my love potion to Marge, and then I'm going to give this other love potion to you, General. Because, and plus, but Todd doesn't know that the love potion that Marge is going to get is a fake one, but he puts both love potions supposedly in both of them, and so Marge is faking it, but the general is bizarrely like saying like, "Yes, sir, I love you." And so Todd is just like, have him just be killed. Like, I just don't care. So we now have to push on to have take two of this wedding, and so we go into wedding of things, and so they're like doing the proceedings of this wedding, and so uh what ends what ends up happening is that Dick goes and goes into the head part of this Trojan horse, breaks out of it, and then goes and tries to stop Todd from getting married to his wife. And so then everybody starts breaking out and starts like attacking these people. Like, funny enough, there were some of Todd's men going out to fight the Eagle people. And what ends up happening is there actually is a weapon that these people are to have had, these Eagle people, but it's the dumbest weapon to actually have had, is this little grenade that somebody has to physically pick up to vanish, to basically like be destroyed. And so Dick is telling these Eagle people, well, like, how is it that somebody is going to be dumb enough to pick up this grenade and die from it? And like the Eagle people are just like, well, because it says like pick me up on the grenade. And so Dick is like, oh my god. Like, so these people just have to be stupid enough, or there has to be some kind of reason for these people to fall for this, and they bizarrely will. So Todd's men all go to try to fight out these Eagle people, and so what ends up happening is one person ends up just like picking this thing up and like, hey guys, and then so all of a sudden he vanishes. And so the next person after that, like these destroyers, they're all, I think, called destroyers. The guys who were to be like suited up, they're all just called destroyers. So these destroyers eventually have some reason or another to pick these things up stupidly, because we have a guy who is to just be like, yeah, like, guys, like, there evidently is grenades here that you should not pick up. And so they're like, well, where? Like, what does it look like? And then so the guy is just like, it looks like this. And he's like, oh, crap. And then he dies. And then we just consistently have that pattern of people that are to have not, like, noticed the bombs or whatever, just decide to pick it up and then die repetitiously, where one of the guys is to call off to just, like, tell Todd, like, sir, we need backup down here right now. But it's to be pointless, because eventually Dick is to sneak off to get to the wedding and eventually go on to eventually fight Todd. So it gets to a point of both Dick and Todd sword fighting for Marge, and like it's kind of hilarious, like sword fighting. Plus, also Todd has prepped the death ray to wipe out Earth, and so the hilarious thing is we're to have Dick and Todd like do this sword fighting, but it's hilarious sword fighting. It's just like it doesn't look cool at all. Like it doesn't look like neither one of them had like sword fighting class, which I think is the perfect approach to go about this. And at some point they also like needed a break. They needed to like take a time out to just like, whoa, wait a minute. Like whew, like let's break this out. Let's have a break here. And so they're both like, man, whew, yeah, oh. So and then like eventually they like go back at it, and so like but every sword like slap or whatever is like so flimsy. But eventually Todd is to lose his sword and Marge is to take it and to like cut her like ropes. And but eventually this leads to, of course, like eventually Todd's death, which is to I think just have him being like gunned down and killed that way. And but then the general is to remind both Dick and Marge that hey, like the timer is running out. There's 3 seconds left before the death ray is to kill Earth. And so luckily, like Dick is to run and hit this one button that is to turn this whole thing off. So that leads to the day being saved. Like basically every one of Todd's destroyers just easily and quickly give up because Todd was the only factor for like these people doing what they were doing. And so now that Todd is now dead or done or whichever, now there is not that thing there. And so all of a sudden, like we have King Raph, who is to go back into holding and having his crown and all of his king-like gear, and he is to actually have a like a sentence that makes full-on sense, because eventually when King Raph was in his like torture dungeon thing, he was just kind of like saying all kinds of bizarre things, where eventually he mentioned that at some point he was going to like, and here's where I fall asleep. Like, like, or no, like, this is where I pass out. Because he's been, like, I guess he's been, like, so tired from maybe not eating or whatever that he just passed out. So, King Raph is to just, like, be, like, so happy that both Marge and Dick had, like, saved their, like saved not only Raph like going back into being this king again, but he saved everyone. And also he saved his own planet. He saved planet Earth. So King Raph had figured out a way to get both Marge and Dick back to their home planet. Like he reversed the way for them to go back to Earth. And so that just leads to have both Marge and Dick go back in their car and to leave and say goodbye to everybody and make it back onto Earth, where all of a sudden we're to have this car like smash into the ground, like but it still feels like it has drivability. Like it is kind of funny how Dick was like complaining about the car and how like it could possibly like have some real damage to it. And so these two parents are to make it back to, of course, Earth and back to their home, and their kids are there, and they're just like, wow, like you guys must have went on a very interesting like vacation. Like I think they like I don't remember what actual spot that they said that they were going to, like it was like Santa Barbara or something like that. So anyways, like so the kids are asking like, well, where exactly did you guys go? It's like, well, we went to Santa Barbara, but it was much more north than what we would have thought it would have been. And so like, oh, okay. So both Marge and Dick are to have a slideshow of what all they've seen and what all they did. And so these kids are like, wow, like this seemed like a crazy adventure. So yeah, that just led to pretty much the end of this movie. And so yeah, like there's some parts where I feel like there were some flimsy moments in this review, obviously. But like when looking at it, also I kind of wanted to just kind of rush through this. So yeah, so I'm just gonna call that done for a day. So anyways, I'm going to get out of here. Bye everybody. Bye everybody.